All right, everybody, that's it for the day. You can head back to your content pods and enter cryo sleep. Oh, boss, actually, we forgot to do our tier list. It's Monday. Oh, the tier list that we always do on Mondays? Yeah, on Mondays we do tier lists. On Wednesdays we wear pink. Don't you worry. We'll have the new guy do the tier list. A new person? I thought it might be nice to bring a new Jake in here, you know? Someone no one's ever seen before. Let me introduce you all to Jake 3. Hey everybody, good to meet you. Jake 3 here. I can't wait to start making some content, you know? Real content cowboy stuff. Yeehaw! Jake 3, you're back? I don't understand. Jake 3 is a brand new Jake. I'm sure he'll do just fine. Don't you remember anything? You must have me confused with someone else, friend. I'm Jake 3. Okay, nice to meet you. Yeehaw. Tier list, and then everyone enter your cryo sleep. Whatever. Hello, everybody. Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw. Let's get into our tier list for today. Today's tier list is going to be going over every Pokemon now with the release of Azumarill. So this is going to be mostly for solo and duo play. Up to trios, I would say. Once you get into coordinated 5-person teams, I think things change quite a bit. And the reason I'm including duos and trios in this list is because otherwise you would have to put all the supporters, defenders extremely low if you're only playing solo games. Here we go. Oh, and of course I always have to say, these tier lists are just based on my observations inside the game. All of these Pokemon can be used well in the right hands, and of course all of the best Pokemon can be used extremely poorly in the wrong hands. So don't take me saying that a particular Pokemon is bottom tier for you to decide not to use it. You could be great with any of these Pokemon. Just know that some of them are a lot more viable than others, at least in my opinion. My brand new opinion. Jake 3. I like it here. Okay, let's go over our tiers. This is fun. We have the God tier. We're gonna put one Pokemon in the God tier every time we have a tier list. I just decided that right now, and it kind of feels like it fits, like it's always been that way. We're not freaking Norse around here. Why does it all sound familiar? We have our S tier, the S tier now go win tier. We have our A tier, the always be closing tier. Always be closing. The leads aren't weak, you're weak. We have the B tier. Gosh, why is that so upsetting? Sorry, it's first time I'm seeing that we have a B tier, and I just feel like I can't believe it's still there. Still got the B tier. I mean, got the B tier. Still got the B tier? That's upsetting. The C tier, the Corey, this ain't it, Chief tier. So I imagine in this tier, I'm talking to someone named Corey, and I'm saying that these Pokemon are good, but maybe not the top picks. And then the Decidueye Memorial tier. Decidueye recently got a lot of buffs. Decidueye will not make it into the Decidueye Memorial tier, but at one point, Decidueye was one of the worst Pokemon in the game. So for now, the D tier will be the Decidueye Memorial tier. Let's get started. For this tier list, let's start talking about the attackers inside Pokemon Unite. Let's see. Cinderace. Why don't we start with you, buddy? Cinderace is definitely one of the top tier Pokemon in the game. Has been for a long time, probably will be for a long time. The game bounces between Cinderace and Greninja being sort of the most dominant Pokemon for this role. But interestingly enough, I think Cinderace, Greninja, and Decidueye all kind of vying for similar positions are all really good right now. Cinder's been good for a very long time. For a moment, Duraludon kind of pushed it out, but now Duraludon's kind of more in line with the rest of the Pokemon in the game. I would say Cinderace is either an S tier or A tier pick. It's hard not to do well with Cinderace. It does insane amounts of damage. Its mobility is pretty crazy good. Its Unite move helps secure team fights. It's just a super solid Pokemon, and it's hard to say that if you're playing solo, duo, or trio, you couldn't use a Cinderace on your squad. They're really, really good. Its big issue is it's really XP hungry, and in lane it doesn't do so well. So you want to play this Pokemon in the central area if you can. The next attacker on our list, well, I see Cramorant right here. Cramorant, I believe, is one of the worst Pokemon in the game currently. I don't know what's going on with this Pokemon. They gave it sort of a slight buff, but at the same time that turned into also giving it a nerf. This Pokemon has been struggling for a long time. It's not unplayable, but at the same time, there are so many Pokemon that are better than this. It's just super unfortunate what's going on with Cram right now. I think it needs a buff to its Unite move. It could use some buffs to its other moves too. It just is outclassed by every attacker in the game, essentially. Who's next on our list? Gardevoir. I think Gardevoir right now falls solidly into the B tier. And for a long time, I would have said A tier. I still think this Pokemon's really good, don't get me wrong. I actually think it's kind of outclassed by someone who I wouldn't assume would be going up for the same job as it. And you could kind of say that they aren't, but it feels like this Pokemon excels at range. And there's another Pokemon that I think is just better at range right now. So for now, I'm going to say that Gardevoir is super solid, hangs out in that B tier. You could be very, very good with this Pokemon. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just there also isn't anything super spectacular about it right now. I think it's a solid Pokemon, but another Pokemon's kind of creeping on it power-wise. Greninja, you know, I've been putting Greninja in the A tier for a little while here. I actually think I want to bump it up to S, I think. So let me be clear about this. First of all, the biggest reason it's up here is because it carries really, really hard, and its Unite move sets up kind of insane multi-KOs. For a while, Water Shuriken was the move. When the Pokemon first came out, Surf was the way to go. And then they nerfed it and buffed Water Shuriken, and Water Shuriken was crazy. Now, I think Surf is kind of back to being the choice for me. And the more I see Greninja, the more I play Greninja, the more I have Greninjas on my team. If you have a good one, they know when to throw their Unite, and they know that it can really set up big team KOs. I think Greninja is a super stellar Pokemon. The issue being with Greninja is that it is a very high skill ceiling. And so I think a lot of people are not great with Greninja. They need to learn how to play it. It's not one of the easier Pokemons to play. Pokemon to play. I called them Pokemons. For instance, Cinderace, I think, is an easy Pokemon to play. Greninja, not so much. It's a lot harder. So I think that's why you see Greninjas that are amazing and really bad. And you don't see that as much with some other attackers here. Let's talk about an attacker that I think is just great, and that's Pikachu. I almost want to put Pikachu up into the S tier. In fact, I think I still might. I mean, it's amazing competitively. Its only issue is that if you're playing it solo, you might not be able to carry as hard as you'd like with Pikachu. However, it's pretty good at everything. Its Unite move charges crazy fast. I think you would be happy having a good Pikachu on your team, whether that be you or one of your allies. That being said, if you're playing strictly solo, it just has a mobility problem, I think. That's one of its biggest issues. If this is strictly solo, it's probably not an S tier, but in most every other situation, I think Pikachu's amazing. Better than Gardevoir and better than Cramorant. Although all three of those Pokemon have their merits, I think Pikachu outclasses all three of them. Ninetales. Ninetales is an interesting one. Man, I feel like I'm going to be putting a lot of Pokemon in the S tier here. Oops, sorry, microphone. Sorry, microphone. Why does it feel like I've said that before? I think Ninetales is either A or S. The thing I think that pulls it out of the S tier is just that it's a little hard to carry on its own. You know, Pikachu kind of falls into this category as well. So I'm thinking of what to do with it. You know what? I think Ninetales is awesome right now. I'm just putting it in the S tier. I might have more S tiers than I normally do because I think I'm popping things out of the A tier right now. But I really like Ninetales right now. I think it's super solid in the game. Its new buffs made it much more playable. It's going to hang S for a minute, but I might drop it down, it and Pikachu, to the A tier. We'll see. Other attackers here. Sylveon. Sylveon, I think, is very underwhelming for me right now. I'm putting this in the C tier. I like Sylveon. I just don't think anything it does is particularly amazing. It got nerfed a while back, and I think it got nerfed too hard. Both of its movesets could use a little love. There are just other Pokemon in the game that are better than it, I think. And it works well in a match early, but I swear it falls off pretty hard later into the match. This might be a little harsh, the C tier for it, but I think that's about where it sits. It's not unplayable. It's pretty good in certain situations, but I'm just not impressed at all with Sylveon right now. Venusaur is S tier. Venusaur is amazing. It's losing a little viability in some senses competitively, but then you still see it. It lasts forever. It does crazy damage. You just can't seem to KO a Venusaur. And because of that, I think it's a solid S tier. As opposed to Pikachu and Ninetales, if you were playing solo, I think Venusaur is a better solo choice, just because you can live longer even if your allies aren't supporting you, which is pretty important playing solo. Decidueye, here we go. Okay, so now I have to decide what I'm doing here, because if I'm saying that I think Decidueye is probably an S tier Pokemon right now. I really do. Specifically the Spirit Shackle build. Playing solo, you can steal objectives, you can get massive KOs, you can set your team up so well with this. Playing duos and trios, I think this Pokemon is amazing. It does have some issues leveling early in lane, but now I guess what I have to do is I have to figure out what I'm doing with my A tier, because I think all these Pokemon are super good right now. They're just really good. I might sort of sort them into the A tier here in a moment, but in general, the point of this tier list is to let you know what I think is really good and what I think is not so good right now. I think Decidueye is really, really great right now. Moving on to our next attacker here. Who am I missing? We've got Duraludon, and that may be it. Duraludon's interesting because I want to say Duraludon's S, but I think it might be A. I think it's really good, but the nerfs to it were reasonable. It brought it down to a reasonable place, because before this, Duraludon was without question the best, most overpowered, insane Pokemon in the game. It's everything it did was crazy good. It just did way too much damage. It secured objectives too easily. I think it's probably an A tier Pokemon, and we could also, like I said, maybe see a shift down of a couple of these into the A tier, but for my personal play, I like all these Pokemon in the S tier a whole lot. I think they're all really, really good. And yeah, that's a good look at our attackers, I would say. Let's head into our speedsters. Starting with Absol, I think Absol is very good. Competitively, not so hot, but solo, duo, trio, I think Absol's super solid. I feel like it's A tier, either A tier or high B tier. I think I'm gonna put it B, just because you have to compare it to some other Pokemon near it, and it's kind of like Gardevoir for me, where I like this Pokemon a lot. I think it's pretty good. If someone said they think it's A tier, I wouldn't really argue with them. If someone said they thought it was C tier for solos, duos, trios, I'd argue that. So because of that, I think it falls either high B or low A. Good. Nice damage from it. You can control a lot through most of the match. You fall off a bit late game, but I do think it's a pretty solid Pokemon and a pretty solid speedster. Gengar is the same kind of situation for me. I think Gengar is very good right now. Maybe even in some ways better than Absol. I mean, I don't know. It's solo, duo, trio. Again, I think some ways better than Absol. Competitively, worse than Absol. I think just Gengar has a lot of problems competitively. It's really cool. I think some teams could try it. It just kind of gets deleted too easy, and its mobility is not ideal. So I think solo, duo, trio, it's pretty solid. It's like a solid B tier Pokemon. You can carry with it pretty hard, which is nice. Talonflame. Talonflame is S tier. Talonflame's amazing. One of the best Pokemon in the game. It just keeps... It stays good. And then when you have a Pokemon like Duraludon, Decidueye, Cinderace, Greninja, when you have basically almost anyone up in this S tier, Talonflame is a counter to all these Pokemon. You dive in, you use your Aerial Ace, Brave Bird, you KO it right away, or you use Fly and you KO it extremely quickly too. Talon is just so freaking good. It's the best speedster by 100 miles. Then we have Zeraora. And I've been saying this for a while. I think Zeraora is underwhelming, and it's because of its leveling. So Zeraora is the only Pokemon that levels its moves kind of later than anyone else in the game, essentially. It gets its first move at 6, which isn't later than everyone. It gets its second move at 8, which might be the latest in the game. I could be wrong about that. It gets its Unite move at 10. That is the latest Unite move in the game. And then it gets its 2 final move upgrades at 12 and 14. So You have to get a ton of experience with Zeraora. It just doesn't make sense. I kind of feel like they've forgotten about this Pokemon a little bit. They just need some slight tweaking to its levels, and then all of a sudden I think this Pokemon is way, way better. But right now it is the worst speedster in my opinion. Let's head on over to our supporters. So again, when you're playing strictly solo, some of these aren't exactly right. I'm going to try to balance that out a little bit, but the supporters in this game are quite amazing. The only issue is, again, alone, you can't always, you can't support people who are not playing with you. So just understand that for all of these supporters, I'm going to rank them, I think, fairly, but none of them can really carry on their own. That's just what is going on with supporters right now. Blissey. I think Blissey's super solid. I think Blissey's probably an A tier. I've been saying B for a while now with Blissey. However, it's one of my favorite supporters to play. I really love it. I think it's super solid. Safeguard is pretty amazing. Helping Hand is good. I've seen even some people use Egg Bomb pretty well. So I think there's a lot of use for Blissey, especially, you know, if you could put Safeguard on a Pokemon and that Pokemon can live throughout an encounter and not get, you know, stunned or knocked up or something like that, it's just so valuable. I think it's a great supporter. I love Blissey. Eldegoss. Weird one. I'm going to put Eldegoss A. I've been putting Eldegoss in the S tier for a very, very long time. And I still think Eldegoss is good. I just think it feels like kind of the few nerfs it has had to its shield, I feel like I feel them. And maybe I'm wrong. This is all, of course, just through my head. So feel free to disagree with me. But I kind of think it's losing some of its punch a little bit. That being said, its damage is still pretty amazing. The past few times I played Eldegoss, you know, you're doing as much damage as most of the members on your team. You help secure really well. Its Unite's awesome. I really like Eldegoss. I just feel like I used to think this Pokemon was super S tier crazy, and now I just think it's incredibly good. Always be closing A tier. Very, very good. Mime, I think, is low B, maybe C. I mean, I'm putting it C. I don't think Mime is awful. The Pokemon in the C tier are not unusable. They're just kind of confusing to me. I should just call it the confusing tier. Like, Corey, this is the confusing tier. I don't know what's going on with Mime. I don't know why they nerfed confusion. It didn't need it. I like the new guard swap. I kind of like it a lot, but it's just not fully there. This Pokemon's really close. Just a little love, and I think Mime becomes super viable again. But right now, I don't know. I'm kind of scratching my head with this one. Wigglytuff. I have been a longtime fan of Wigglytuff. Again, you can't really solo here, but I think Wigglytuff is S. It's just such an insane defender. I think all of its moves are pretty amazing. Its Unite move is insanely good. Its only issue is solo play, but whatever. Wiggly is just so freaking good. Putting people to sleep, even knocking them up with rollout. I think Wiggly is a superstar Pokemon. It's just so incredibly good. I love Wigglytuff. Hoopa. Hoopa is S for sure. S with a bullet. You probably can play this solo better than most any of the supporters on this list. And I'm playing it coordinated. This Pokemon's crazy. It does so much damage. I thought Hyperspace Hole would be the thing, but really Trick is the thing. It's just so nice. You add so much damage. You get great stuns with Shadow Ball. And then at the same time, you're one of the only characters that has an ability, a move, your Unite move, that actually forces your team to join you and play the game with you. It's pretty amazing. I think Hoopa is so good. All right, Defender time, yes? All right, let's head on over to our defenders. When I look at this list, I always think, man, I'm missing somebody here. I just keep missing them. Blastoise right now. I think Blastoise is S, baby. Rapid Spin Water Spout is so good right now. It's funny how a little tweak, I feel like, shoots a Pokemon up on viability, and Blastoise is that Pokemon. This patch was probably better for Blastoise than any other Pokemon. Maybe Decidueye, I don't know. It's pretty great for Decidueye too, but Blastoise is crushing it right now. I love playing Blastoise. It's great having one on your team. If you know how to use it, if you know how to dive into that back line of your opponents, rapid spin their Decidueye, use your Unite move. I mean, it's just chaotically good right now. Blastoise is awesome right now. Crustle. Crustle is either C or D. So I think there are a couple builds that work with Crustle, and solo in some ways it's still kind of okay at times, but this Pokemon just needs a little love. I don't know. I'm putting a D right now, and the only reason I'm putting a D is I want people to understand that I think this Pokemon needs a little something, and oftentimes it's just a little tweak. It's a little bit, and all of a sudden this Pokemon kind of comes back. But right now, I would say Crustle needs help. It's not Cramorant, but it needs some help, man. Please help Crustle developers. Greedent, come on now. Greedent's S. Greedent's S. Never not been S. Never won't be S. Greedent's amazing. Greedent's kind of better than Crustle at every single thing. That's one of the unfortunate things about the whole Crustle-Greedent relationship. You know, that, and it was a little toxic. I don't want to get into it, but shades of Jada and Will there. So Greedent, I think, is good at... It's weird. It's kind of good everywhere. It's one of the only Pokemon that's good all over the map. It's good if you need to play it in the central area. It's good in your opponent's central area or jungle. It's good in the top path, good in the bottom path. It's good everywhere. It's good almost at everything. You can't KO it. It can score at will. It's amazing. It's Greedent. It's Greedent. It's so good. Mamoswine. Mamoswine, I think, is B. I think a solid Pokemon. I like Mamo. Early game, it has some cool functionality. It kind of falls off as the match goes on, and it has a bad Unite move. I say this all the time. I do not like its Unite move. I don't know what's going on with it. I like Mamoswine. Just give it a little love, and I think it'll be a bit better. But it's still a solid Pokemon, a solid B tier Pokemon. Slowbro. Slowbro is great. You can't really solo Slowbro that well. You just can't carry super hard with it. But in general, I think it's an S tier Pokemon. So this is going to be a weird one. If you're just looking at this from, hey, can I play this Pokemon by myself and win a ton of matches? Sometimes just the answer is no. Your teammates just won't work with you. However, in most situations, Slowbro is an insanely solid defender. It feels like one of the most defendery defenders. You know, when you think of knocking the enemy up and messing with them, stunning them when they are using their Unite moves and stuff like that. When you think of a Pokemon that really defends for you, I think of Slowbro. I think Slowbro is, yeah, one of the best. I love playing Slowbro right now. Snorlax is fine. I think solo, it's really hard. Solo, I think it's one of the hardest Pokemon in the game, especially if you go full-on defender build like heavy slam block. I think it's just one of the toughest. I think flail yawn is a meme. I think flail block is actually decent if you're playing solo, but you know, this Pokemon just really has the unfortunate curse of being super defendery. And because of that, if your teammate is not on board, way worse than Slowbro, in my opinion, you're in trouble. You're in so much trouble if your team does not work with you and you're playing Snorlax. So that's where I think that Pokemon ends up right now. Let's see. Trevenant. Okay. I've put Trevenant in the D tier for a long time. I'm going to cautiously move it to the C tier. I've seen some teams use it competitively. I really like this. I can't think of a worse Pokemon to play solo than Trevenant. It might be the worst Pokemon to play in the game solo. It's so hard. It's so unbelievably hard to play this Pokemon solo, I swear. You can actually do a decent amount of damage. You can push the enemy around, but man, you need your team to react to what you're doing, or you're just not that useful. I like Trev so much. I think it's close. It's so close, and we're seeing it used competitively, which to me means, oh, this Pokemon's actually really, really, really close to being viable, even in solo duo, you know, play. But you actually need a team to know what's going on still, you know? Give it a little more. Give it a little more. I want to see this Pokemon shoot up there. Why can't it grow like a tree all the way up to the S tier, maybe even to the God tier? Although it is like a ghost tree, right? So I don't know if it grows anymore. I think those are all, yeah, those are all of our defenders. We are now moving on to our all-rounders, which, crazy enough, I'm looking at so many all-rounders. How many do we have now? We've got, what, 8 of them? We used to have only a couple all-rounders. Then all of a sudden the game was just all-rounder, 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 all-rounder. All right, here we go. Let's see. We've got Charizard. Charizard, I think, is an A tier Pokemon. The only thing that keeps it away from being an S tier for me is the fact that it kind of struggles in lanes, so you have to play it in the center, and people are always fighting over the center. It's tough. I really love Char. I almost wonder if it's S. I'm putting too many things in S. It's really good. Char's really good. I don't know. Charizard's interesting. It's really good. It gets its Unite move canceled out a bit when an opponent's unstoppable. It's something you have to watch out for as a player more than anything. I think I'm going to leave it A. It's one of the top Pokemon in the A tier. It might be the best Pokemon in the A tier, and I might move someone else down to the A tier here in a moment. I think Char is really, really great. A great Pokemon for sure. Garchomp, I'm putting C. Yeah, I'm putting C. The thing about Garchomp is, unlike the rest of the Pokemon here, I just feel like they've tried so many things to make this Pokemon good. It's not terrible. If you play a great Garchomp, you are useful for your team, but it just feels like it gets outclassed by so much. I don't know. I don't love Garchomp, and I think it's not about its stats or anything like that. It's just the way the character performs in the game. Then again, I used to say that about Decidueye, and now I think Decidueye is amazing. So maybe we just need a little bit of a rework for Garchomp, something like that. Lucario. Lucario's S tier, always has been, always will be. One of the best Pokemon in the game, solo, duo, trio, competitively. Lucario is freaking amazing. Power Up Punch and Close Combat got nerfed, which does break my heart a little bit because it's one of my favorite ways to play. E-Speed is still amazing. In fact, Power Up Punch Close Combat's still amazing. Lucario is just great. We all know this. You don't need me to tell you Lucario is great. It's been great forever. Machamp, I think, is either S or A. I might put Machamp A just because I'm comparing it directly with Lucario here, but I might even put it S because I just think it's really great. For the sake of delineating this list, I'm going to put it A, and I might do that here with one of my attack Pokemon that's up here in a minute, although I really love all these Pokemon up here. I'm not sure. I'm gonna put it A right now. Yeah, I'm gonna put it A. I think it's great. I think it's great. You could tell me put it S, and I just do it. I just do it. It's so good. I do think it's a little outclassed by Lucario if you're just comparing the two in the top path, but it does so many different things. I think it's really amazing. Yeah, Machamp's great. Zarina, I think's B. It's better, you know, it's got some buffs. They're figuring it out. It's not terrible, but I think a lot of the other all-rounders kind of outshine it right now. It used to be crazy, and then they nerfed it pretty hard. So now it's B. That's where I feel like this Pokemon just hangs out at this point. It's just good, not great, not bad. You have some good ones on your team, you have some bad ones on your team, and that's Zarina right now. Dragonite, I kind of don't know what to say about Dragonite, and I feel like Dragonite is either B or C, but then at times I feel like it's actually pretty dang good. It really fell off. They nerfed it pretty hard, you know? Every once in a while a Pokemon gets released and they're crazy powerful, like Duraludon did, and Dragonite was definitely that way. It was the entire, you know, strategy of the game for a little while. Have a Dragonite on your team, it will secure the objective. It still does that pretty well. It's just there are other things that work better at securing at times. Like I think Decidueye's secure is even better. You don't even need to be near it. You don't need to charge up your Dragon Dance or anything like that. So for me, I'm gonna say low B for Dragonite right now. Good Pokemon, situational. I'd rather use Decidueye for the secures, so I'm thinking it's B. Aegislash also B. Teetering to C at times, but I think a B tier Pokemon. I like Aegislash. I really like Aegislash. I love playing it. I think it just needs a little something. It needs a little something. What I think it needs, maybe if they just gave it a little more critical hit chance across all of its builds, that way its Shadow Claw build really critically hit, and then its Sacred Sword build just had extra critical hit percentage. That could be the thing that kind of made it, you know, makes it pop a little bit here. And now we have Azumarill. So, Azumarill, the newest Pokemon added to Unite, the new all-rounder added to the game. When some people first played it, they thought it was terrible. When some people first played it, they said it was really, really good. I think the truth of Azumarill is it falls right in line with the B tier. I think it's a solid Pokemon. I think it has some kind of odd issues with it. I actually don't even think its critical hits need to hit 150%. I think they could probably hit the normal 200% and that would be fine, but that's not how the character is built. I think it's strangely squishy as the match goes on. So you'll have some Pokemon that feel like they can really survive in a fight, and Azumarill's kit is based around healing itself, but I actually think it goes down a lot faster than it should. If they buffed Azumarill's defenses, nothing else about Azumarill, you kept all its moves the way it was, and you just buffed its defenses, I think this Pokemon would shoot up in viability, but it just doesn't feel strong enough. Yeah, it's weird. So with a Pokemon like Aegislash, you go from, you know, your tanky defensive form to your attacking blade form, and in that moment you're doing a lot of damage and you're way squishier. Azumarill to me almost always feels like you're in blade form. I don't even know what the stats are. I could be way off on those stats. That's not exactly right. I'm sure they're different, but my point is you are just surprisingly weak defensively on this Pokemon, where I don't think you should be. I think keep everything else the same, but maybe buff its defenses a little, and then all of a sudden you have way more than a B tier Pokemon on your hands. That being said, I think Azumarill's good. It's fun. I like it. I really like Whirlpool Water Spout. At the same time, I think all of its moves actually have some utility. Even Play Rough, which I really didn't like at first, I think is kind of decent as it goes because it does give you a lot of move speed. That being said, that's where I think Azumarill lands, and that's our tier list for today. Before we go, of course, I have to pick some Pokemon to go into the God tier, and this patch for me, that Pokemon is Blastoise or Decidueye. I'm trying to think, which one do I want it to be? They're both amazing right now. I can't believe it, but today we're friggin' Norse around here. I'm actually gonna leave two. I think Blastoise and Decidueye both crushed it this patch. You could easily say, well, Decidueye is not the best Pokemon in the game, neither is Blastoise. That being said, this tier for me is just trying to highlight how much these Pokemon have improved this patch and how good they are in every single match you see. I love these two Pokemon right now, and this week, I guess we're frickin' Norse around here. Maybe I'm not allowed to do that? I don't know. Sorry, it's just having weird, I wanted to say flashback, but I can't have a flashback to something I never experienced. Okay, there you have the tier list, and you know what? Might be fun. I'm kind of a sneaky person. I just want to, maybe I'll mix this around a little bit in case anybody skips to the end, and then they won't know what I really think about some of this stuff. It's kind of a silly thing that I'm just thinking about right now. That'd be fun to do, right? You can't make it too obvious, but there we go. Azumarill is just the best Pokemon in the game. Every time they release a Pokemon in this game, they are overpowered. Every single release is overpowered except one, like Trevenant. Trevenant's the only Pokemon that released that was not overpowered. But Azumarill is crazy. It gets its Unite move faster than any Pokemon in the game. It's like on the cooldown with Pikachu and Talonflame. It easily KOs wild Pokemon. You unite 10 times a match. This Pokemon is absolutely nuts. And then of course, like I said earlier, we've still got Pokemon like Cram, Absol, Crustle all the way at the bottom there. And because Azumarill is so good, you do see other Pokemon kind of push down. Duraludon, pretty good right now, not amazing. And then of course Pokemon like Wigglytuff and stuff with Slowbro, they've fallen off super hard because why would you have a supporter or defender on your team when you could just have a Pokemon like Azumarill doing crazy amounts of damage? So I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm so excited to be part of this team here. I love you all, and I will see you all next time. Mwah!